Good morning, everyone online. We're waiting for a quorum.
Good morning.
Okay.
All right, that's great. So I'll call the meeting to order. There's a quorum. We can just identify who's here. Hugh,
Hugh Biber.
Miranda,
Yes, Miranda Barry.
Kim Wood.
John Shovel. That gives us the quorum we need. Do we have any commissioners by Zoom?
We have Victoria, our city attorney, and we have Craig, the code enforcement officer.
So can I have has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make that motion.
Paul and Hugh, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. We'll proceed to the certificate of appropriateness votes.
Okay, so first up is our C of A votes. And I have 127 warrant that the commission approved 2 weeks ago. That is the double-sided hanging sign for the Register Star Daily Mail.
Any conditions?
No conditions.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness?
Motion.
Paul and Miranda, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And next up is 60 Front Street, and that was the ADA compliant external lift.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Can we, for the record, can we please state who's approving?
Do, of course we can. Kim and Hugh? All in favor? Aye.
Okay, and next up is 723 Warren Street, and that is the Park Theater sign that was approved by code enforcement. It's a double sign, but.
Right.
Mhm.
That's the last time. Can I have a motion to approve that certificate of appropriateness? Paul and Kim, all in favor? Great.
Okay, and now we can move to new applications. So first up is 203 Warren Street.
Hello.
Hello,
Karen,
How you doing?
and let me just share that with. And I believe this is for a sign, sir.
Yes.
Our applicant is here in person.
It's a single-sided ACM, just aluminum composite sign with black vinyl lettering mounted up above that spot where. Center.
So here's the sign, 60 inches by 24 inches. And then here's the sign, this in context. 203 Warren Street.
anyone want to have a discussion about it?
That's,
Okay, great. Can I have a motion to waive the public hearing?
yes.
Well, let's find the
Find the
application.
application complete. Right. Find the application complete. Okay, Paul and Miranda, we have an all in favor? Aye. We have a motion to
Waive a
waive a public hearing and instruct the attorney to draft a certificate of appropriateness. Hugh and Paul, all in favor? Aye. Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, and we'll,
I'll wait for the next one.
Great, what is the next?
okay.
We'll do it next.
It should be.
The next one is 421.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, let me, sorry. 421, and this is for a,
Hudson Drive.
right. Let me get you the application materials up here. Okay, and this is for an illuminated sign, 421 Warren Street.
Yeah, so it's not completely illuminated.
Okay,
It's internally, but look at the rendering there. Just the white, it's like a 1/4 inch. Just that little white halo is gonna be illuminated from the inside. It's not a total, like illuminated box sign I can see at some of these places in Hudson, where the whole face is lit. It's kind of giving you that little bit of a retro kind of LED look or neon look without going neon. The lumen's gonna be very low, it's not gonna be very bright, you probably gotta go very like the front of this storefront. Double-sided,
is the bracket existing?
the bracket there's an existing bracket, but it's not a very good shape, it's kind of bent and mangled and not mounted very well, so the bracket would be, you know, there's an existing bracket in that location, that same spot. Up a little bit, but it's not very secure, I don't trust it. So it would be a new bracket, we meet the requirements for square footage, and we're about 8.5 feet off the ground, so we meet that as well.
We find ourselves again with something with illumination. Not surprising. Is there any discussion that we want to have about it? Okay. Kim, you want to kick it off?
Sure. I think we have to consider that sublimated signs, whether it's just the text or if it's the entire box sign, that it's not something that we see on Warren Street, even though it is commercial. I think it's outside of the historical appropriateness. That is my immediate reaction to that. I appreciate that it's not fully lit, but I still think it is outside of what we would expect to see appropriately for the historic buildings in that area for the time. I don't think it matches with a retro neon look.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Historic, when it comes to signs, what time period we talking about? I can show you stuff with historic, not so good. Huge LED lit signs, neon signs, and there's some fully lit signs on Street now.
Which ones? I don't mean to challenge you.
No,
I'm
I'm saying,
curious.
like, right next door is Finch. They got two light signs on the front of the building that say Finch, which is way more obnoxious than that. Hudson Eye on Third Street.
No, that's a.
That's a fully lit sign. I didn't come to argue about, we're just trying to get a little bit more notice in Hudson. I know we have it. I've been in this board for 15 years, maybe more. And I know we always get challenged on these aluminum signs, but I think when they're done, or lit, illuminated lit signs, I think when they're done tastefully, it does fit the historic. That's my opinion, and I know everybody on the board has their opinion.
Yeah, we
Just for your information, it's about compatibility with
Yeah.
the age of the surrounding buildings.
No, I get it.
So you asked what time period is concerning, and that's the time period. So that's why generally we have painted signs.
No, I understand. I understand completely.
This is a beautiful design, by the way. Really.
And that's why we're trying to push, we're trying to give it a little bit different look without doing neon. And back in even when these buildings were made, neon was a huge, huge part of the puzzle. And that's why we figured we'd bring it before the board to see if we could get something like this.
There were neon signs on Warren Street in the commercial.
I'm sure there were, right? They were ubiquitous, so.
They were, I mean, they were, actually, in my opinion, they were a little obnoxious for that time period. That's why this, I think, is a little bit more tasteful and cleaner look.
I concur with Miranda. You should know that this is an ongoing concern for us. It's not just you, it's not, no one wants to pick on the sign of this design. We're having a continuous discussion about what appropriate signage is for our historic district.
Yep.
And so your sign,
I concur.
apologize with that. You were going to speak, Mr. Ryan.
I think it is appropriate. And we've approved it before, and we have sauerkraut. We have Flowerkraut, we have Rivertown,
Those are all above 7th Street. That was the context of that particular neighborhood. We're talking
and this is
now
not like
about
a
the
backlit
context.
sign, like we've had Savory Bites, which were all illuminated letters. This is tasteful. It's, or the technology is different.
You have your opinion, obviously.
I want to be clear, I'm not talking about whether the sign design is tasteful or not. I'm just focused only on the self-illumination, just because it is a hot topic right now. And so I think we need to be really clear if it is something that we deem appropriate and then what that context is. I mean, I think that's a fair statement to say.
It is.
We made an exception for the Flowerkraut sign because it was above 7th Street, and that particular block does have a lot of illuminated signs. It was also very small. And that is, in fact, your argument is the very concern that we have, which
Yeah.
is if we approve this, then no, then it's game over.
Well, I don't think, I think
Property by property.
that's what I was just gonna say.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
Construct, one of the pieces of evidence we use is whether there are other like examples. So by putting this sign here, we will create a precedent for other like examples. Yes. Sorry, go ahead. You were first.
And I would agree with him, is that, it should be, I think so, I've been doing this for a long time. And I've been building signs for a very long time.
Could you speak up, sir?
My feeling is, it's a case by case basis. I mean, not asking for fully lit aluminum. I don't see that hanging down there either. I grew up in Hudson. This is a little bit of a different scenario. I understand you're opening up the door if you say yes. But then you gotta as a board, which is your job, is to scrutinize everyone that comes in here and asks for that. And there's gonna be times and exceptions where you're gonna have to say no. I get it. But I think it should be on a case by case basis of the sign, quality, the elegance of the sign. Quality.
Yes.
I'm actually the homeowner and building owner, and I live upstairs, so I also don't want a illuminated sign shining into my living room, and I don't want the street to be incredibly bright. Has there ever been consideration for the lumens that are permissed, or perhaps something that is agreed upon in terms of what the brightness would be, or even times when the sign could be lit?
Which a lot of towns do that.
It is a factor, but we do not have a regulation that we can impose
Okay.
for either lumens or for times for illumination.
Okay.
And that would be very hard to enforce, and very changeable, right? So you may not put it on after 6 PM or after 9 PM,
Yeah.
but whoever owns the building next. So it says, I want to apologize again, you're getting caught in the crosshairs of the conversation that's very active. We've had another site like this recently that we had a debate on. So I appreciate that for sure. And it is a beautiful sign.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, just for,
We absolutely should. Why don't you make that suggestion? You want to make a motion?
We'd like to move that we have a public hearing on this.
Can I have a second on that? All right, can I have so let's say this, can we have a motion to find the application complete? Kim and Paul, all in favor? Aye. Can we have a motion to, what do? We just waive, we do not waive.
Do not waive.
So let's just do it the other way. Can I have a motion for a public hearing, Miranda, and second? Paul, so what we're gonna do is, we don't usually do this for signs, but this is exceptional. We're gonna have a public hearing, and because what we're doing here is gonna create a precedent, and what we're doing here does impact all of us as citizens and of Hudson, we're gonna take the public's input before we rule. So that's that usually is scheduled for the next meeting, and it's held at the beginning of the meeting. So I don't know what the precise date is, but we'll publicize that, we'll solicit input from the public. They can weigh in both online and through off, and you can make your case to them, both of you, about why this should be approved. And then they can weigh in on their opinions as well, to take into consideration before we vote.
may I ask the other sign that you referenced as well, is that being brought up for public hearing?
It was previously.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we said, that was distinguished from this it's on a different block in a different area. That was
Yeah,
what we
it's been a residential. I mean, if you actually look at the statute that established the Historic Preservation Commission, our rule is compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. That's the thing. And the purpose is to preserve the historic architecture and historic look and feel,
Oh,
particularly
absolutely.
Warren Street.
And I understand that, I respect that, and the other things you'll see that, the renovations I'm making to the building are to a certain building. It's just frustrating because then you walk down to a place like Savory Deli and Bites and it looks like an airport hangar from inside.
Well, it
So,
was originally an
Yeah.
interior illuminated sign and we disallowed that. So, anyway, it is a complicated question. And this is a beautiful design, which makes it harder.
Okay, well, we're here in 2 weeks. All right, we appreciate it.
The feedback in that, we're gonna go to the next step.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone here for 228 Allen?
Yes.
Hi there, Tori.
I guess we'll step up here, that's the.
we've been second on 421 Warren Street though. We have windows as well.
Oh,
I don't think there was a vote.
Sorry.
okay, wait.
We're gonna finish this up.
Okay.
We didn't, I did.
Miranda and Paul seconded the public hearing.
Yes,
Correct.
421, I have your sign application.
This was submitted through Craig.
Okay.
Oh, it was the newer one that came out on Tuesday from Craig. We got it at 3:44 PM.
Yes, okay. Here we are.
So these are two separate applications, there's the sign and then there's the window, right?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Second, please.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing.
All right. So this would be, let me just get to your proposal here. This is for, windows for 421 Warren Street. So we have your application up.
Yes.
Mhm.
So we're looking to replace the windows, that are plate glass with wood trim that is deteriorating, with tempered glass and brass frames. The windows would be replaced like with like, except for the fact that the stall riser, which is the trim portion below the windows, would not be replaced like with like. And the windows would continue down to the floor level of the store. I put some photos to Westerland, which is 2 stores down from me, has a similar scenario in terms of their windows and framing that ours would look like.
Okay.
Do you have any historic photos of this building?
The only photo that we have of this building, the front of the building is 1860. We have a photo from the early 1900s, and it was a residence at the time without any storefront windows. There were steps up with a much lower street level, and only 2 stories from what we can see. I've done as much research as I can, and I cannot find anything that represents what the windows would have looked like. The only thing I do know that the angle of the interior windows in the vestibule were at a steeper angle at one point, and we're just able to see that by the existing subfloor. But again, I don't know what time period that was.
Do you know when these were put in?
My guess is that they were put in between the 30s and the 50s.
So the example that you're showing, it looks like they built up a curb that creates the 2 display areas that are enclosed in glass. You're not proposing to build up a curb, you're just going to the.
Under the stall riser, we actually do have a curve as well. It's just less exaggerated than Westerland is. It's a concrete run that starts at the step from the residences down through. That will remain. And then it's just the wooden portion of the stall riser that would not be built back up. The platforms that sort of ties into are also going to be removed. They're not going to be part of the store. So the entire, it'll be all one level, and the floors will be, the windows will be that floor level.
And the curb is existing.
Curves existing.
You mentioned that you were gonna replace some aspects of it with brass. Did I mishear that?
The trim will be made of brass instead of what it currently is now, for longevity.
Will it be painted black? Or-
It will be painted black, the same color, yes. And then the glass itself, plate glass being replaced with tempered glass for safety more than anything.
Is the current wood frame, right, is it curved, is it flat?
It's squared off 90 degrees in all places. There's a lot of added trim that's been put in to repair damage. At this point, the whole stall riser has severe termite damage, water damage, mold.
Any thoughts from the commission?
Yeah, it seems fine.
I mean, it's been so altered over the years. But when would we have thought the building down the street, like, when would those windows have gone? Glass plates have gone, totally down.
Oh, which windows?
On Westerland,
It's,
It's overhead. I mean, it was,
I don't recall that.
no, I mean, I'm sure.
they didn't really change it, but I mean, this has been this way for 60 70 years, so, you know, it's how it is. Not altering what's there now in terms of layout. So just updating the glass and the trim.
The interior door at the end of the vestibule leading into the store is going to remain as is. And that is not original to the building, but it's original as, you know, as far back as the structure is.
On the one hand, it seems minor, right? So on the one hand, it seems as though, well, we're simply removing some trim so that an improved structural window can run to the curb. On the other hand, we're altering something that's been there. We're approving the alteration of something that's been there for, you know, approaching 75 years.
Where are we taking out that one piece of wood? That one lower piece of wood?
It is an alteration.
It's a change in style. It is.
It's certainly stylistically changed. So I'm getting the vibe that you are okay with this.
I am okay with it. I think, to me, it's sort of in the category of letting people feel sorry for it. You know what I mean? It's a modern material that does essentially the same thing as the older material. That's my opinion.
If I can add as well too, to the left is the residence entrance for the other two floors. And that is being restored, paint stripped, you know, 8 layers down, and trying to keep as much as they can in the building. This just really allows us much more structure and a safe window product.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. There is a charm to the wooden stuff, but it'll be more durable this way.
So,
Again, as I started to say, I think because it's been so altered over the years and considering it started as a record, it was, you know, I said,
All right, it seems like there's a consensus here then. All right, do I have a motion to find the application complete?
Yeah.
Kim and Paul? All in favor? Aye. Do I have a motion to waive a public hearing and instruct the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness? Miranda and Paul. Now I don't know, I didn't look at the application, the supporting documents, are all the specs in there for the drawings and the specs? The
Sorry, can we
specification?
Are you gonna vote on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you vote on that? Oh.
Yes. Because we're voting on waiving a public hearing and approving.
Directing the city attorney. Thank you. Now, my question is, did you provide us with the documentation about what precisely you're going to put on?
I was told that I wouldn't need to provide that the only thing I would need to provide was just some photos expressing what that I wouldn't need any architectural or engineer's drawings.
Well, we're not saying that they have to be architectural engineer, but what we need is the exact dimensions of, you know, you're replacing that wooden sill with something else. So we'll need the exact dimensions and we'll need renderings of it. You could do it yourself presumably, but that it is something that when the code enforcement officer goes to look at what you built, that it is identical to what you said.
It is correct, but told me that I would need to be.
It's all signed, but we'll need that in order to make that final approval. So that's going to be a condition of your certificate of appropriateness. So you'll be issued that when you provide those. And that can be as early as 2 weeks. If you want to send those in advance to Craig, that'll be fine.
and if you could include the brand materiality of the tempered glass.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I assume the bases are going to be custom, right? If you're not, someone's going to have to fabricate those. Those are not specified. They're not commercial windows that you can just buy, right?
What do you mean by the base?
So like the bottom of those windows, that metal frame that you're going to place onto the curb.
Yeah, they're building a custom metal squared off 90-degree
We
angle.
just need the drawing that you're going to use with the dimensions on it.
Your metal worker window owner should be able to give you a shot around thing.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you. Next up is, and that'll be in 2 weeks, sir. Next up is 228 Allen Street, and our applicants are here in person.
hello.
Hello.
Thank you for your time. I'm Mark Lehman, Julie Metz, and I'm home for 28 Allen. You've seen this video before, with applications, and most recently for the one we are now reapproaching, which is our garages. And sort of the summary is that, since we got your approval for the previous version, we were basically advisement from some contractors that existing structures would not survive, and we went ahead and designed a project that replicated essentially the larger bulk of the left-hand side to replicate that with more elements demolished. They're in advanced state of disrepair. We don't need them or like them, to be honest, and add some garden space for inside. So essentially, our previous proposal was a brand new build. And with some pricing coming back, we decided to take another look at the existing structure. And we spoke with a structural engineer. Started this plan B, and that plan B is working out in the sense that we have a structural engineer who's given us a design to preserve that structure. So in short, we are doing essentially the same thing that was presented and approved in the past, except now we would expect we are going to salvage the larger building with some, again, some insight from a structural engineer who has drawings for us that are in progress. Just, Greg Haig has seen the basic structural element. He's asked for some additional details for the permit, not necessarily for this group, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the structural guy saying, yes, go ahead. So that's sort of the summary. Goes through the details, but basically
Can you remind us about the bay garages? Did we approve the demolition of those?
yes.
So that we don't have to relitigate that. So what you're saying is, we approved demolition of that and a new structure at the taller element.
Exactly.
You're saying, rather than have just going ahead with the demolition, we're not here to talk about that. Rather than have a new structure, you're going to restore the old structure.
Correct. The larger element.
And what is, okay, and you're gonna show us now why that'll look different?
It doesn't really look much different. So the drawings all are essentially the same. The key difference, to be honest, is that when we're building new, we're sort of aligning it a little bit, a couple like 6 inches. It's on the lot line now, but we wanted just visually to line up with the existing structure, given the fact that we now have structural drawings that can preserve the current foundation. It would stay in the existing location. That essentially is the main difference.
Okay,
And
can you
you're,
show us that, this is what you're proposing to do now?
Correct.
Can you show us what we approved before?
I've done it. Really?
Okay.
I apologize. If you
I'm
guys,
just gonna, but let's just assume that you give us a copy of what we approved before, and we are able to compare this as a condition. Like, I don't remember, I don't remember what we.
Well, we approved, as the gentleman mentioned, we approved the demolition of well,
Right, the base.
of these, and this was going to be a new build. And very in kind, I mean, very similar. And you had mentioned in your previous application, which I believe was about a year ago, that you were going to move it 6 inches or a foot. I think it was 6 inches, but
yeah, essentially line with the
yeah,
existing
to line up. There's a little alley. I don't know if you mentioned, you mentioned this in your original application. There's that little side alley that
Right.
we all know. It's so cute, and beautiful, but, and you were going to move it in a little bit to align with the property. And we approved that. And so now what the gentleman is suggesting is that, well, here's just a condition, current,
Sure.
here's the site plan.
I guess
Right.
here's my point, right? We're gonna approve this new old structure, right? But I just wanted, and we know that it looks similar to what we approved last time, but we don't have the image of that to validate that.
So here's a question.
Yeah,
Not to
I can
dismiss.
find it and send it.
okay, then
I
let's
can-
approve
I
it
can
with that condition.
Take a moment
That's all.
and find it.
Oh, you can do it right now?
Well, it's gonna take about 10
I
minutes.
found it.
Okay.
Okay, then that's,
From June of 2023.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
So the condition will be to match the previous approval.
But the previous approval
there's not
was
gonna be,
bigger.
we're just gonna look at it, okay, look at that, and then look at what we're approved, and then we're gonna approve. Without-
Clark, is it the same fence that you previously proposed?
Yes, that's, yes.
Okay. So fence and the demolition are really not part of this amendment.
Oh, Craig reminds me that the year has passed, so we're here as
Oh.
a recommendation, even though we have a history of.
Okay,
Oops, yes.
It's a much bigger build though, because you had, it was taller and wider before, what we approved, no? Very something.
Can you send it to
Yeah.
Jan so she can put it on the screen?
And so when you say you're reusing the existing, you're reusing the foundation, you're reusing, the main, like whether it's studs or posts, whatever the construction is, yes. And then you're reusing, it's a 1-story, right? So you're reusing the rafters and then it's everything else, the envelope getting resheathed with cladding, windows, doors, roofing.
So really per the engineer, there are 4 posts that are solid and good, so those will be preserved. And essentially the process will be showing up the existing, I think you guys need to know all the means and methods of what we're gonna do, but the 4 posts per the engineer's review are solid. And those would be squared up and essentially, the others, elements would be rebuilt with the same envelope. As it is.
Okay, this is from 2023. So this is what the the commissioners approved. Okay, it's down.
But that's still asking on, I don't know.
Yeah, here, is this the right one?
We had to come to you.
So what I was saying, it got a lot bigger, it's taller, it's wider.
Yes, but I apologize for stating it. We had a version where we were just going to keep the existing, but, obviously this one had a second bay, for garage. And, we no longer are interested in that. So again, we sort of scale back to the point of demolishing existing and keeping
Okay,
more.
that's great. That's helpful, Josh. Can we now look again, just one more time, at what's proposed, Jen?
Mhm.
So your height isn't changing or anything, you're reducing the rafters? I mean, my question is do we even need to look back? Because it is in a way completely.
We don't need to look back.
Yeah.
That was just for information.
Okay.
Look at this now, and it looks like the changes are much less substantial.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
so that's as it's today. Let's just focus on the left bay, the very tall door.
That's existing.
That's as it is
we
today,
need to
right?
get this. Okay. Here we go. So this is what's proposed.
No.
Oh, sorry, it's existing.
This is proposed here.
Proposed, yes.
So smaller door, looks like, and you're giving us this, I can see how thorough this is. You've given us the specifications for that door. Okay, and side frame.
So this is, south elevation is, and you're looking from the yard, okay, so
There's
there's.
This is
That-
that.
You're gonna side this with what material?
With a clatter.
You want some discussion about it?
I just think it's missing a few specs on the drawing. It says painted clapboard siding and gutter, but like just the roof type, the windows and the door specs, the garage door, I don't see it included in this package. It's just those small details, but otherwise.
We can include it with the condition that you provide us with specifications
Sure.
for your windows, doors, and any other finishing, all right?
Very good.
Do I have a motion to find this application complete? You,
But is it complete then, or that's the?
What's gonna be the
The condition.
you, Paul? Great, all in favor? A motion to waive a public hearing and to instruct the city attorney to create a certificate of appropriateness with this condition that we receive the specification drawing for what it's issued. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Great, okay.
Great, thanks. This
Thank
was
you.
great. I think you'll make your neighborhood happy with this change.
Okay, next up is Walter Chatham. Morning, Walter.
Morning. Good afternoon from Copenhagen.
Oh. Okay, and I have your application up.
It's 402 Warren Street, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, 402 Warren Street. The Hudson Public. Walter, what page would you like me to start on? I'm showing page 12.
So the first drawing page, please.
Okay. So that is the west elevation.
That sounds right.
Okay, great. Would you like to tell the commission what your proposal is?
Just,
Yes.
Jen, I don't know if I'm the only one, but it's not showing up on the screen.
I don't
It's
see
not.
it.
Let me try. Okay.
It might be a problem with the out. Yeah, let's try again.
Okay. How's that?
No.
Uh-oh.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's weird. We're seeing it here.
I can describe it if you all can see it. I can certainly remember what it is. Very briefly, this was a set of stairs that were part of the whole 402 Warren Hotel application last year that the HPC approved. And unfortunately, the site engineering, some other things didn't work out the way that we'd hoped. And the stairs basically come out too far onto the sidewalk. Craig pointed out that they no longer meet code because they block the sidewalk, which we can't do. So the proposal is simply to take the approved design and turn it sideways. So rather than having two stairs come down forward, we'd have them go up from the left and the right. So instead of seeing the front of the stairs as you approach the building, you'd see the side of the stairs. And hopefully that's obvious from the drawings.
Okay. Are you saying this, Victoria?
No.
Oh, boy.
I unfortunately have to tell you, I can't get on the site with my computer because I'm overseas and something is blocking it. I don't have something called a VPN. So I'm on my daughter's computer, so I don't actually think that I have the drawings.
Well, the board is looking at the drawings right now, right? The board
Yeah.
can see them.
Yeah. I mean, it's hopefully a de minimis request. It's the same materials. We added some posts that weren't there before to the railing because everybody liked those on 2830 Allen Street. So we put those in there. Other than that, it's pretty similar to what was proposed, just rearranged, if you will. Bluestone steps, brick side, and metal railings.
Walter, we're not hearing you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
We can hear Walter.
Can you hear me, Miranda? No?
I think it looks like they are going to sign back in. I don't see them anymore. Walter, you've been doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, we have a new grandbaby over here. So we came before and now after.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I work with my daughter. She's part of the architecture firm. So this new baby is definitely a new member of our Hopefully 20 years from now, she'll be joining.
Oh, good. So you're having business meetings for,
Exactly. We're getting very serious about, but the business is mostly, the things that you talk about, new babies. Do you think they had to start a new meeting?
I think they probably are restarting the OWL. I'm just gonna go grab a plug for my computer.
What happened, Victoria?
Well, we lost him.
Oh. Okay.
Ah, genius.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
can you hear me, Walter?
Yes, thank you. And I can see the
Okay,
picture.
just bear with us 1 second. We're still trying to get the audio to work, but I know it's up on the screen, so
Well
one
done.
second.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Walter?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. We had a technical, let me see if I can. Is this showing?
Yes. Great. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Walter,
Great. Fantastic. So,
but I don't hear anybody else.
I mean, I hear you guys, but
Okay, Walter, can you hear us?
yes.
Okay, now I
absolutely.
can.
yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for persevering. So I apologize. I mentioned my daughter has just had a baby, so she usually helps me with the graphics and polishes things up. So I've got some weird colors here, and the brick on the new version isn't quite the right color, but please understand that the intention, it's existing brick, we're not changing it. So all we're changing here from the original approved version is the stairs. Jan is circling the approved stairs, right? And those obviously two separate stairs coming straight out at the viewer. That is historically what we know was there because there's a photograph extant that we had submitted that shows a kind of Romanized stair. At one point, they had a kind of heavy stone baluster. And what was approved by HPC last year were some very simple metal railings, bluestone steps, and brick sidewalls. And so, Jan, if you go to the next, I think it's the next, or yeah, keep going, please. That one. Yeah, I'm not sure graphically what's going on there, but sorry about that. So there is the new proposed design. We simply added those metal posts, the decorative metal posts in between the railings, and turned the stairs 90 degrees. And we have a little refinement in between the two stairs. We pushed the brick back 4 inches to make a little gap just to create a shadow joint so it's not a big, long, monotonous surface. Yeah, there it is in a clear drawing.
And is at the top, is there a partition? So
There's
you
a,
go one
there's-
side or the
yeah, the railing returns in the plan. You can see next to the note blue stone slab to be notched. We return both fences to a post just off the side of the building, and that would basically be to discourage people going down the street from running up the stairs and then running down on the other side.
So note that the original proposal that we approved is reflective of the historic character. Walter, just remind me quickly, is this a request from code, or is it just, why the proposed change?
So we originally had drawn the sidewalk, I think 2 feet wider, because at the time we were asking from city planning for permission to bulb out the sidewalk and create a kind of drop off, what do you call it, a notch for drop off. Planning would not let us eliminate the parking spaces on the street, John, so we have one parking space taken out for the actual hotel. And you can see right there in the photograph how narrow the sidewalk is. So the sidewalk was not permitted to expand out. And the original steps, if they were to code in terms of risers and run, would not have met code. They would have come out and blocked the sidewalk as well. So that's the nature of the request. And I think it's safe to say in Hudson, there are many examples of where the street was widened, the original sidewalk narrowed, and people did go to a side stair solution just for this reason.
I
I mean, the building next door has like these little porches that stick out and the stairs are on the side, it's a, they're.
I think it would be ideal to replicate what was there, but it seems to me that this is a reasonable combination and still within the vein of appropriateness. And you'll, Walter, we provided specifications, like how, I'm sure you will agree with us that the quality of the materials will be really important on the ironwork.
Yeah. We did provide, some notes about the brick matching. And basically, I think I understand your question, John. This would be basically a welded steel railing welded to a cast iron post, and it would all be painted black. And the precedent that we established is the stair at 2830 Allen Street that you all approved a couple years ago and that we built. So it's basically the same idea.
Okay. Does anyone have further discussion on this?
And just for clarification, you mentioned the color differences here because your daughter wasn't able to do the refinement. You're not painting the buildings white.
No, not white or bright orange. No.
Here in some of the drawings, I've just checked.
Perfectly nice existing brick. And the
Great, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to find the application complete? Him and Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to waive the public hearing, direct the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness? Hugh and Paul, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Walter.
Okay, next up is 9 Union Street.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to request a reduction in a previously approved spiral staircase that's going into the back of the property at 9 Union. It was approved previously at 60 inches diameter, and we'd like to reduce it down to 48.
And everything else stays the same in terms of materials.
Everything else stays the same. Everything's exactly the same. It's just a reduction in size of the actual spiral.
So that means the building inspector, the code enforcement.
Yes, Craig's looked at it, and he's happy that it's connected.
So each side of it's like 24 inches wide?
Yeah.
Here's the binder. I can't, again, I apologize, I can't share this with the folks at home, but.
Seems relative.
Yes.
So there it is.
Yeah, it's quite a, because that area there is quite a restricted area, and plus we're putting some steps up to the garden, because it goes down from the kitchen level down to the garden level.
But I think it's pretty straightforward. It's making it smaller. Everything else stays the same.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Anyone care to comment or to ask any questions? Do I have a motion to find the application complete?
Yes.
Paul, all in favor? Aye. Do I have a motion to waive a public hearing and direct the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness?
Yes.
Well, we should have let you go first, shouldn't we?
Thank you very much.
Oh, all in favor? Aye.
Okay, and next up is 9 Partition Street, and the applicants are here in person. And I apologize in advance, I'm not able to share this with.
I'm sure our audience members at home will find a new proposal for new construction very intriguing, so we'll make sure that we get this posted. Hi, Chip.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're lucky enough to have one of our alums presenting to us today.
Thank you. I'm Chip Bowl. I'm the architect for
Partition Street. This is Mike Renzel. He is the owner of the property and the builder of the new house. Mike currently lives at the corner of Front and Partition, just 2 doors away from the projected site. If you could put up this drawing, and I'd like to start with A and go through F.
Okay. Again, I apologize to the folks at home. My computer is not, or the Wi-Fi here is not letting me share content. So I will be posting this on the HPC site at cityofhudson.org. And I will be posting it today, the entire package. I suspect there will be a public hearing scheduled, and it will be posted on the HPC site at cityofhudson.org. And for the folks here, this is Exhibit A, or Photo A, or Plan A.
Thank you. This is a plan. Can everybody see this all right? I can't do that, sorry. It's in my so this is a very simple cityscape plan.
I'm sorry, okay.
If you could go to B next. This is a more detailed plan. Actually, if you zoom back out so that we see the entirety of this drawing, that's fine, perfect, thank you. This is Partition Street. It's 40 feet wide. Front Street is 60 feet wide. Allen Street is 50 feet wide. The property is outlined here in red. This is a parcel that does not communicate through from Partition to Allen Street. At the corner of Front and Partition is a 4-story TKG building with their porches, 4 stories of porches on the back, and a garage adjacent to that. This is the subject property. This property of 4042 owns this garage, and it's kind of a T-shaped lot, if you will, with a private drive down to Allen Street, which can be seen, of course, from Allen Street. This is the Half Moon building on the corner, their restaurant outside area. And this is the large brick warehouse building that fronts on Allen Street. It's 4 stories on Allen Street. It comes back all the way through to Partition Street as a 1-story brick building. Subterranean, I say subterranean, it's lower than Partition Street. Partition is approximately 8 to 10 feet higher than Allen Street. So the grade, the floor of this, which is quite a large space with this big cupola on top of it, is on the same level as the entry level of Allen. There's a large yard here and another large yard here. They're all part of that property ownership of that large warehouse. This is the line that divides the zoning district from R4 to the zoning district here, which is
also a residential district, but it also allows for more intense commercial use and multifamily. It actually has two height restrictions. One is at 45 feet for multifamily and other dwellings or other businesses, and 35 feet for single-family residence. Why the zoning has that distinction for single-family to multifamily, it's simply a matter of the zoning regulations. Our proposal, which we submitted to the zoning board of appeals, we requested variances for the side yards because this is such a small lot. It's only 26 feet wide, approximately 55 feet in depth. We requested side yard variances. We requested a front yard variance that would allow the house, the house to be aligned with the two adjacent properties, so that we have a 9-inch setback at the street for continuity of the street, and we provided a 5-foot rear yard rather than the required 30-foot, I think, rear yard. This red dashed line is the permitted setback, the required setback of 7.5 feet from each side.
Right.
And so the dotted red line that you see here is the existing frame garage that's there. We propose to remove that garage. It has a full basement under it, such that the lowest grade of the structure that is here more or less aligns with the lowest grade of the lowest floor of the structure that flank it on both sides. So we're proposing building a new to the property line on both sides. The design comports with that. So if you could go to C. This is in your packet. I just covered what we talked about here. This is just a larger drawing that's a little bit easier to see. I wanted to point out that the location of the existing building to be removed, the 5-foot deep rear yard, the adjacent property lines and so forth. So this is somewhat redundant with the previous drawing, but at a larger scale. D is interesting as the 1911 Sanborn map that illustrates the large warehouse building on Allen Street, and beside it a dwelling with a secondary space addition to that dwelling, and presumably 9 partition. That garage is more or less in this footprint. So this and also just the investigation of the building materials, the foundations. It's clearly an early 20th century building. And so we put this in to show also that there are, if you could back out of this image just a little bit, there are a number of dwellings on Partition Street at this time. One here, which was no doubt demolished when the addition was built for this. It's interesting that this is a scrap iron company. And other dwellings, there's a dwelling at 29, a dwelling at presumably 31, and at 24 and so forth. So it's interesting that Partition Street, being 40 feet wide, is 20 feet wider than Prison or Cherry Alley. It's truly a street, it's not an alley. The other interesting feature of Partition Street is that there's a 9-foot wide sidewalk that runs all the way from 2nd Street to Front Street, and it's largely intact. It's eroded in some places, as you would expect, but it has been solidly built from the TKG property back to this neighbor's garage, and we'll be restoring the sidewalk with new curb cut, and also the intention from Mike is to also to restore this sidewalk that's in front of this garage in that process. It's not in the permit. That will be done separately. If you could go then to, actually, if you could advance to F. This is just another interesting, from a historical perspective, this is about an 1880s, I'm not sure the date of the city map, but it's curious. Here's Front Street, which oriented a little bit differently. This is Partition Street. But one of the things that's interesting about this map is that it shows that there are some subdivisions of properties going through from street to street. They even happen from Allen down across and so forth. It was always a curiosity to us as to how this lot became a lot that was so narrow and didn't cross through from Partition to Allen. And this just helps to explain that there was a variety of properties in the way that they were subdivided and owned over time. Thank you. If you go back to E, this is just a photographs of the existing. This is the existing building on 9, at 9. It's okay.
Okay,
It's all right. This is
the existing building.
Thank you. Yes, this is the existing building. This is as seen from Front Street looking up Partition. This is the TKG building. This is the garage that is owned by this property, and part of this property, it's an accessory to this property. The next garage is and the brick. You go up to this corner. Thank you. This is the TKG building. The 2 garages, and this is the large brick warehouse building that's part of the 4-story building that fronts on Allen Street. This is a view from off of the street of Allen Street showing that warehouse building. This is an existing condition drawing. There's a chain link fence that surrounds this yard. This is the alleyway that provides access to the adjacent garage. This is the TKG building with its porches, and this is the building that's on the corner of Allen and Front Street on the south side of Allen. If you could go to actually the architectural drawings, drawing number 2.0. This is the building permit set. Do you have this?
It's called Wenzel HPC BP 69.
Thank you.
69, okay. Okay, which, this?
Yes, thank you. This is a full-on measured architectural drawing of the Partition Street from Front Street through to the small residential garages that are on the other side of the large warehouse building. This shows the relative scale in a measured way of the size of the TKG building, its porches, the garage that is adjacent, the existing garage is here. This starts the brick building that is connected to, that's on the sidewalk of Partition. This is the cupola that is over that large production space. And this is the 4-story building, the back of the 4-story building that faces onto Allen Street. So we include this as a streetscape to understand the scale of the building and the general design intent of the building. The height of the building is limited to 35 feet in height. It is basically 3 stories with a garage and a front door.
Pardon me, Chip, can you zoom in on that, please? If you would, if it's easy, Jeff, so we can just see the.
So this is the front door that provides access to the house, which is basically the living spaces are 2 stories in height. It's a 2-bedroom, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. The living space of the house is 2,100 square feet. It's not a large building. The composition of this building is one which we'll get into when we get into the 3D, but you can see that the width and the height of this building and how it relates to its immediate neighbors on partition.
Kip, can you just identify what picture you're on when you're speaking so I can try to follow? I'm trying to share with everyone.
Thank you, Victoria. It's Wenzel HPC BP 6-9-25.
Yeah, I'm in I'm in the photos, but there's 8 of them, right?
Page 4.
4, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
And it's the above image. It's image 1, elevation partition street.
Okay.
Thank you.
You could back up a little bit, zoom back a little bit to this lower drawing, which is the view from, thank you, perfect. The view from Allen Street. This is the brick warehouse building. This is the Half Moon. We're looking at the oblique view going up Front Street, and this to go up to the adjacent buildings on Front Street. This is the TKG building with its porches in the back of the garage, adjacent garages here. This is the rear of the building. This is the brick wall. This is the brick wall of the portion of the warehouse building, and adjacent to this in the residential R4 zone is house at number 18 Allen Street that you see here also for scale. This is the rear of the building, which we'll show you in 3D. It includes screened-in porches on each of the living levels. The height of the existing building, you see this dashed line here and here. So in thinking about an increase on height from the current position, this is approximately the height of the existing building, and we're adding essentially 2 floors above that, again to the height limit of 35 feet. This is the alleyway down to that garage, and you can see the slope of Allen Street is somewhat commensurate with the slope of Partition Street. Again, generally 8 to 10 feet. These are more detailed elevations. This is part of your package and part of the building permit package, which illustrates the materials to be used. We're siding the exterior building with painted steel. Basically, it's like a standing seam metal roof, and that we're using on the walls as well as on the sloped roof. When we get into the 3D images, is there any questions on any of this? It will become a little bit more visual when we get into the 3D images.
Why don't that would be great, let's see that.
If you could then go to that number 1, that 3D image number 1. As viewed, this is number 2.
So Victoria, it's 8 architectural images file, and it's we're on page 1.
Okay. that's actually what I just had up, so I'll put them back up.
Okay, thank you.
This illustrates the TKG building that's on the corner of Front and Partition. This is the fence that's behind that. The this fence, or to the right of this fence, are the porches of that building. This is the existing garage that's here. This is the proposed new building for 9 Partition. And to the left of that is the start of the brick building that runs further up Partition. That's the back of the Allen Street warehouse. We see the as we come up Partition Street, we see the TKG building and its porches in the garage, and this is the proposed building. Beyond that, we see a warehouse building on Allen Street, and this is the warehouse building continuation of Allen Street that fronts onto Partition Street. Again, we begin to see that the scale of this building as it fits into this specific neighborhood, into this specific block. This is further up Partition Street, looking down Partition Street, if you will. This is Front Street. Down here, the TKG building, the proposed building here. On this drawing and the previous drawing, we see that the sides of these buildings that are built on the property line, we cannot have windows on the side property line walls. However, we're providing relief to that wall with the screen porch and the handrail of the roof deck that's above it. Actually, I think, can you go back, if you could just go back one more to 2. This sidewall elevation, you see that we have a roof, a sloping roof element that brings the roof cornice down to a level below the 35-foot height. So we have a sloped roofing that is above that parapet height. We also have a porch an open porch on this corner, and these are the open porches and the deck handrail that's in the rear. So we're giving relief to this building by subtracting spaces out of it. This drawing illustrates the projecting bay window and this sloped roof and the chimneys that project above that 35-foot height, which is permitted by the code, and the front, which is has the entry door and the garage door, and they're flanked by bluestone, New York State bluestone slabs that give more durability at the sidewalk level, and a kind of a masonry base to this building. The concept of this design is that we're transitioning from the finer single-family homes of Union Street and even Upper Allen Street. We're transitioning down to an industrial part of Hudson. This warehouse obviously anchors that. So we've articulated this with a residential design in silhouette and posture, if you will, that has great familiarity with the single-family residence. There's a bay window, there's a front door that's obvious from the street. There are windows, transom windows above that door that are symmetrically positioned. The bay window projects and provides side windows on both sides, which is a feature that's characteristic of Hudson and provides the interior of the building to be able to project out into the street and to provide some supervision of the street, if you will, and it animates the building as to integrate with the street. This is, of course, further reinforces this 9-foot wide, very wide sidewalk that is largely intact going up Partition Street. Of course, we've be a wonderful asset for the city if it were continuous and safe. This is the-
Chip, are you projecting over the sidewalk with those windows?
Yes, we are, and we're projecting 21 inches over the property line of the city, and we recognize the need to proceed to the city council to gain approval for that projection.
Okay,
We presented this to the zoning board of appeals. We're presenting it here in full disclosure that we still have to go to the city in order to gain approval for that projection.
and I'm sorry, what happened at the ZBA meeting? Have they voted on it?
Yes, there was, the zoning board of appeals approved our yard requirements. They, our relief to the yard requirements. And in their provision of approval, made the statement along the lines of that approval being commensurate with other city approvals.
Meaning contingent or commensurate? I mean, if it's approved by the other boards, they are approving, is that what they're saying?
Well, we have a sequence to go through with gaining approval for the projecting thing. We need 3 approvals. We have to go in some kind of sequence.
Right.
So we went to the zoning board of appeals, we're here, and recognizing that your review of this must be contingent upon city approval. But we'd like to have we want this as part of the discussion of the architecture of this and the appropriateness of this, so that we can go to the city council and say, the Preservation Commission has reviewed it and considered it and hopefully views it favorably. We realize there's a multi-step and there's a contingency that if the city doesn't approve this projection, we will be back here and we will be back to the zoning board of appeals to clarify because we'll need to make a change to our presentation.
Makes sense.
Chip, what is the rationale or what was your thinking behind the choice of cladding?
Again, this is such a transitional neighborhood of finer residences to industrial part of the city, that the metal gives us that transition. It would be it would be very, very difficult to introduce brick, for instance, in this facade because it's always going to be adjacent to this brick, and I think that would be something less than successful to think about it in brick. Could be stucco, could be hardy board. We have, but the steel gives us, it is a factory painted steel. So it will be uniform, but it also has a standing seam. So that it does have an articulated rib, if you will, vertical rib, that gives scale, thank you. Also, all of the trim that we're using around the bay window and the lintel over the door, and actually the ceiling, if you will, of the bay, are all finished with structural steel members, I-beams, C-channels, and this is and we're using on the back, we're also using large steel channels that are structural steel, they're 1/4 of an inch thick, they're channels that are then all painted that is articulated as also with the structural steel, a nod to the industrial part of Hudson. We see steel members like this used even further up on Partition Street. And of course, here's the view from the bridge, also painted structural steel. The Half Moon, this is a view from above the roof of the Half Moon, which of course we will never see, but it gives you a sense of the articulation of this building so that it is on a very narrow lot, but we have withdrawn mass from the rear and the sides and the front corner in order to, again, animate that so it's not just a simple rectangular block. This is the cupola of this building, and this brick is that. The property line, actually, excuse me for a second.
Yes,
I'm sorry, just asking what number he's on.
we are currently on page 8 of our 8 architectural images file.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You,
Thank
go
you.
ahead, Chip, explain things.
Yeah, the existing, could you go back to this,
Mhm.
thank you. This existing building has its side yard with a fantastic collection of architectural elements from around Hudson. It has a chain link fence all the way around it. It's over 6 feet high. I'm not quite sure of its exact height. We share, this property shares a property line with it in the rear. We would like to extend that chain link fence around this portion of this rear yard. I'm not sure how the commission feels about chain link or extending chain link in the community. But we have an existing condition here, and so I wanted that to be part of our discussion today. We very much want to secure that yard in one way or the other. Sure. And we feel that this chain link fence would be most appropriate given the use of it in the adjacent property.
Chip, given the scale of this project, I doubt the chain link fence is going to consume most of our discussion. So I think, this is going to, you know well, this is going to go before a public hearing.
Yes.
So I think, I'm going to ask, is this a natural pause for you, or do you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm going to ask the commission if there's any comments that they want to give now. Okay.
Does anybody have any?
Does anyone, oh, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I just want to say that new construction allows us an opportunity to consider where we fall on the timeline. Are we attempting to recreate a historic look, or are we building a modern structure that is in scale and mass and so forth compatible with existing structures? I think that conceptually the idea of a transitional industrial feel, I think is an absolutely brilliant idea personally. I also personally like the protruding bay windows because I think they do refer to an architectural feature that's very common throughout Hudson, and that is a period structure. I have some concerns about the steel siding, but I think it makes the statement about it being a transitional building, so I think that's something I'd love to have us all talk about. But I do think that the scale of this building, even though normally we would worry about a building that fills the lot this much, given what the surroundings are, and I appreciate your taking the time to show us everything that's around it. I feel as if the scale is very appropriate. Comments?
Did you say inappropriate or very appropriate?
Appropriate.
Appropriate.
Ditto, I think that everything Miranda said, and this is quite a somewhat industrial look. I mean, if you look at what they did to the back of the TKG building with all of those decks, with the, the cable railings and everything, it looks fine.
Okay. So I'd agree. I think we should also all consider, I don't remember the exact address, but it was comparable. It was more or less vacant lot, although there is a structure here that should be considered, right? I think there's a garage here now, right, that you're going to demolish and replace with those. But that new construction that we built on the,
On Union Street?
on Union Street.
Mark McDonald.
Mark McDonald's house, that, to me is some of the precedent for this, including the steel, so we should consider that. So I think we have to, as we take in the input from the public, we should also recall our own, and it wasn't that long ago that we approved that building. So. All right, so I think from your perspective, it seems like you're very ready to have the public hearing.
Yes.
So in which case, is there a motion to find this application complete? Miranda, Kim, should you have further questions?
Yeah, I totally agree with Miranda, that you said it more eloquently than I ever could have. Just for housekeeping purposes, I see you have window door schedules and stuff, but I don't see actual specs of the manufacturer on it.
They may not be included in that, and we'll provide that, but our intention is that we would use a metal window, that it would be either aluminum or steel. It would be painted black or that black gray as part of that assembly of the bay window. And so, yes, that's the intention. And similarly, the frame at the legs around the garage door are also heavy steel channel. And with the intention that this photograph maybe shows a little bit better the intention of the bracketed cornice, which is bracketed with a wide flange beam spaced like it is a bracket, like it is an Italianate wooden bracket, but it is steel. And so to answer your question and build on your statement, Miranda, that this is a building that is very much of its time, but it also is very much part of Hudson. And achieving that balance between the new and being compatible is really what new design is all about. You referenced the Mark McDonald's building on Union Street. That is still very much compatible because its silhouette has the kind of idiosyncrasy of many buildings that we see from the side and so forth. So this building also has its own idiosyncrasies. It's very, very site specific. I wouldn't design this building on any other part of Partition. I wouldn't design it, on another street in Hudson. But here it's appropriate because it achieves that balance of the idiosyncrasy and that transition from residential to industrial.
And arguably, it's actually bringing forward a piece of Hudson's history which has almost been lost, which is the industrial character of the waterfront that was taken away mostly in urban renewal.
Great. Something that would help me is these renderings, excellent. Thrilled to have them. Is there any way to see a photograph of this siding material in use, right?
Yeah,
I mean, not, you don't have to show it to me now, but I think that's gonna help me visualize
So the public hearing?
at the public hearing. So if you, I would encourage you to bring something along those lines so that we can really, because as I'm reading, like, as I look at the representations that you've given us, it's reading like a dark brick, which is attractive to me, but, this is great. I would love to see, do you have any, do you have this user siding anywhere?
This is
user
this is a commercially available painted steel, factory painted steel. That standard color is a bronze, which is a very dark, brown.
Great.
It's commercially available. It's recognized as a contemporary, finish, if you will. It's frequently used on roofing. I've recently used it on roofing on an 1840s carriage house, garden house carriage house on road. 1840s beautiful Gothic revival building. So it has that bridge between being something that is old and appropriate and something that is new and has a little bit of an edge, if you will.
I totally accept that. If you could bring some photographs of a new siding on some types of building.
Definitely.
I think that would help.
The other thing about the Mark McDonald building that's useful is that the colors of that and the corrugation of that really have a connection to Mark McDonald, since he's such an expert at mid-century design and craft. And that, to me, that building has a certain mid-century connection to it. What we've done here is to take this industrial connection and also the ironworkers connection of Mike, who's an ironworker, steel erector, and used those things on the outside of his building that gives that ownership, if you will, pride of ownership to that building, which of course is the architecture of Hudson's.
Sure.
Pride of ownership. So,
so with that, we were in the middle. You gave us a point of order that there are a few things that we're going to need, right? But with that, I think we can find the application complete with those contingencies. And do I have a second on that, or did we already do that? Can I have a vote on that? So let's just skip to, we're going to schedule a public hearing. Do I have a motion to schedule a public hearing or next available? One, Kim and Miranda. So we'll schedule a public hearing for you next time. We have one before you probably, I think it's on the sign. On the illuminated sign, so we'll have two at our next meeting. Thank you so much for that.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. It was a beautiful, thoughtful
And
presentation.
I have a hand raised.
Oh, yes, we'll take the hand, right?
Oh. No, okay, never
Okay,
mind.
great. Did we get you, were you here for a purpose are we here to help? Is there anything we can do for you?
No, we're here for this presentation.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Yeah.
And bring your friends and your comments.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Great minutes. Great. Thank you.
Adjourned at 11:43. Thank you all.
Bye.